Big news over the weekend was that Sheldon Haudenschild's crew chief, Kyle Ripper, was fired the morning after he won the National Open at Williams Grove. And now Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has explained exactly what went down and why he decided to fire Kyle Ripper. Wrote this up over at stockcarreport.com. You can find the link in the description below. So as I said, Kyle Ripper and driver Sheldon Haudenschild won the National Open at Williams Grove on Saturday night, and then Ripper was fired Sunday morning, as this was reported by Jeremy Elliott over at Sprint Car Unlimited. Ripper, who had been with the team for 6 years, was fired the morning after winning the race. Elliott said, "It ended with Kyle Pruitt, the crew chief of Stenhouse Jr. Marshall Racing next season, knocking on the cab door when Ripper was about to leave Williams Grove Speedway Sunday morning. Keys were requested, and Saturday's winning crew chief's tenure was over with the 17 car. On top of Ripper being fired, Elliott reported that the car chief and the tire guy have also quit. However, he did note that Haudenschild will stay to close out the season. It was announced back in September that Haudenschild would leave the team at the end of the season, and he would be taking Ripper with him. Haudenschild Racing made this announcement in a press release at the time that they shared to social media, saying, looking ahead, Sheldon Haudenschild and crew chief Kyle Ripper are excited to build on their success and focus on the future in 2026. Obviously, that press release was announcing Haudenschild's departure from Stenhouse Jr. Marshall Racing at the conclusion of the 2025 season. So this brings us to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and his explanation for why Ripper was fired the morning after winning at Williams Grove. And he conducted an interview with Dirt Vision's Connor Wade, and this is what he said. He said that for sure is what happened, that he was indeed fired Sunday morning after winning at Williams Grove. But this goes back to probably Knoxville time. We kind of heard rumblings of Sheldon and Ripper putting their own kind of thing together. And at the same time, Richard Marshall started talking about what we wanted to do for our team. I felt for us to give Sheldon the best shot to go win a championship, we were looking at making a change at the crew chief position. We had a lot of inconsistencies, so we know to win a championship, you have to average a fifth place finish, and we haven't been able to do that. We've kind of been fourth in the championship, fifth, sixth, kind of right around that top five, but haven't really broken through to contend for a championship like we wanted. So we heard those rumblings, and we kind of got on the look ourselves for a crew chief. It's kind of where we started. And when we talked to Sheldon, he said him and Ripper are moving on at the end of the season. So Richard and I, at that point, we didn't want to blow everything up. So he said, hey, let's finish out the year. Let's go win as many races as possible. Obviously, Williams Grove being one of those. But then we hired a crew chief. Kyle Pruitt is going to be our crew chief, as everybody knows now. When he was let go from Shark Racing, it gave us an opportunity on the NOS Energy Drink 17 team to start preparing for 2026. In this championship, we're not going to catch fourth place. We're not going to fall back to sixth. So 2026 starts now for our team. We've got a lot of parts to order, things to get organized, and I can't put Kyle Pruitt in there to do that with them still racing out of our shop. I'm not exactly sure why you wouldn't be able to do that. Obviously, you have an increased expense because you have basically two crew chiefs, and so you have an extra employee, etc. But you probably could have him kind of maybe work on a presumptory schedule where he's maybe not doing like full duties or something like that. Maybe keeps costs low, but allows him to get acclimated to the team, figure out how they run things out of that shop, etc., and kind of start getting his ducks in order for the 2026 season. So I understand the explanation. I do think that there probably were some other options on the table that might not have been discussed, or they were discussed and they chose to go this route anyways. So nevertheless, after explaining how the team's plan was to bring Pruitt in and get him to work right away, Stenhouse shared that the plan was to fire Hammer following Williams Grove, regardless of whether or not they were going to win the race. The plan was to always basically fire him after Williams Grove. And this is what he said. I was going to call Ripper Saturday night after the race at Williams Grove and tell him, hey, we appreciate it, but we're going to do something different. And then explain to him why. The win happened. It kind of threw a wrench in our plans. I didn't want to call him Saturday night and do that. So let him celebrate and enjoy the win like they deserved. So we did it Sunday around lunchtime. Richard and I called Ripper and he was asleep. He didn't answer. So we had to get someone to knock on his door to wake him up. He was in the truck still. Definitely not ideally how we wanted to do it. I was hoping he would answer the phone, but I had cup things I had to do on Sunday. So I had a time window that we could get all this done in. But we wanted to get it done so Kyle Pruitt could start working on the car, get it prepared for this weekend, and then any other upcoming issues that we might have, like with crew guys, because we talked to our crew guys as well, and we knew they were on the fence of maybe going with Sheldon and Ripper to do their next endeavor. So we knew that when we made this change, that was a possibility. And so we've got things lined up to move forward. And we just felt like it was best for us and our team. We definitely didn't wait till they won and said, hey, let's call them and fire them. To my point of view, it's kind of hard to fire somebody that's already quit. So I understand where Stenhouse is coming from here. I understand the rhetorical argument that he is making, but I don't think he necessarily quit. He didn't quit following Williams-Grove. He was planning to continue to work for you till the end of the season when he was going to depart and finish out his contract. One would assume his contract with the team. I would guess that it's probably some kind of yearly contract. Obviously, it was probably right to work. So if there's obvious reasons that Stenhouse or Marshall wanted to get rid of him due to performance, etc., like he kind of talks about here, they can do that. But it does seem like that he was going to finish out the season. So the idea that he already quit, I don't really buy that argument, buy that rhetoric that Stenhouse is using. I understand it. I just think that that's not really kind of what happened. It sounds like to me that they got the opportunity with Kyle Pruitt. They wanted to bring him in. They wanted to start preparing for 2026. They didn't see how they could improve or even fall backwards in the championship. They're basically going to stay where they are with the World Outlaws. And so it's like, let's just get ahead and look forward to 2026. Get Kyle Pruitt working on our cars, get our cars up to snuff, have him kind of start building out his notebook with the cars that we have. So we're ready for 2026 when we bring in our new driver, which he says they're going to have news on that in the coming days, weeks, months here. He said it was coming soon in this interview as well. But that seems to be the real rationale on why Hammer was fired there, or excuse me, why Ripper was fired. Stenhouse went on to confirm that the crew members Luke Vaughn and Jace Warwick have departed the team. They are going to head back home. Like I said, Richard and I knew that was a possibility and just something that we had to roll with. I think you'll be surprised by our crew guys for this weekend. I'm excited for this weekend to get going. The crew guys for this weekend aren't necessarily crew guys that we'll have for 2026, but they'll get us through this weekend. So Wade, who conducted the interview with Dirt Vision, Connor Wade, he also revealed he did have a conversation with Ripper as well and was offered an interview too, but he declined and indicated he was at peace with the situation and has no comment at this time in addition to what has already been reported. So that is what Ricky Stenhouse Jr. said was the reasoning for why Kyle Ripper was fired. And after Williams-Grove, that was the plan all along. He was going to fire him after Williams-Grove because they wanted to get Kyle Pruitt into their system and get going right away. I think there's probably more to the story. I know Stenhouse was asked if there was any kind of potential animosity or things happening behind the scenes. He basically kind of brushed it aside, didn't really kind of talk about it, didn't really talk about if there was any bad blood between ownership and Ripper and Haudenschild, etc., and kind of wanted to just kind of move on from that. But it does seem like there potentially could have been some animosity given the fact that Haudenschild had been with Stenhouse for 8 years. Ripper had been with them with 6 years. It clearly sounds like he wanted to continue with Haudenschild into the foreseeable future. Was a little bit saddened by the fact that Haudenschild was going his own way. Maybe felt like Ripper was the one who was kind of guiding Haudenschild away from him, kind of feeling maybe that he took Haudenschild away from him. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading a little bit into that, but I definitely feel like there is some of that in this interview that Stenhouse kind of gives away here when he's asked some of these questions by Connor here. But let me know what you guys make of this. What do you make of what Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had to say here? Do you buy his explanation? What do you think of the fact that they fired him on Sunday, the day after winning that race? Could they have waited maybe till Monday, maybe Tuesday later on in the week? I don't know. Should he have even done it at that time? Were there other options that he could have done? You think? Let me know what your thoughts are on this. Let me know in the comments below.